long time since I've done a live, but I'm here. Today we're going to be talking about the black community being political orphans. All right, black community being political orphans. And before we get into it, wanted to just thank everyone for the support. The channel's been growing slowly but surely, but the channel's been growing. I made some points that are in the description, so go check out the description. The points I want to make are in the description. There's 3 things that I want to cover. The first, pretty much the black community knows we don't like what we see, but we've been conditioned not to change or seek alternatives. We've been conditioned not to seek alternatives. Second, the black community has been told that racism is our biggest problem, but racism or race is not a major running point for any campaign. No, none of the political parties, major candidates are running on that issue. It's not an issue. And third thing I want to talk about is that Kamala Harris was not voted in by black people and was not voted in by anyone outside of the delegates. But no citizen outside the delegates voted for her. And these are the 3 things I want to talk about in this video. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, comment if this is your first time to the channel, watch a little bit, if you decide you like what you see, hit that like button, subscribe for more great content. I'm constantly putting up new skits, new videos, going to be doing more lives. So let's get into it. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is that right now, black people know we don't like what we're seeing, right? We know we don't like what we're seeing. We know we don't like the high prices. We know we don't like how difficult it is to purchase a property now, that prices have gone up. Yes, interest rates are slowly coming down, but it's still too expensive. The cost of living, right? All of these things compounding. We know we don't like what we see, but we're being told that nothing is wrong. We're being told nothing is wrong. I watched an interview earlier where Kamala Harris was being interviewed, and they asked her, hey, would you have done anything different than Joe Biden over the last 4 years? If it was up to you, would you have done anything different? Guess what her answer was? Comment what you think her answer was. The interviewer asked Kamala Harris, would you have done anything different than what Joe Biden did? Guess what Kamala Harris said? There's nothing that comes to mind. That's what Kamala Harris said. When asked if she would do anything different than Joe Biden, there's nothing that comes to mind. That's what she said. And she also went on to say that she was a part of many of the major decisions that had impact. So what that tells me is if she's elected, we're going to continue to get more of what we've gotten, because there's a couple things going on here. I know people are like, well, what was she supposed to do? Throw Joe Biden under the bus? Here's my thing. There's a way, if you're a skilled communicator, there's a way to let people know things will be different while also preserving the respect and the relationship you have with someone else. So for example, if I were asked that question, and I knew things needed to change, and I didn't want to throw Joe Biden under the bus and I was Kamala Harris, I would have said, hindsight is 2020 or something like that. Hindsight is 2020. Moving forward, we have a better idea of what the American people want, and those are the things we're going to focus on. Right? Simple. Those are the things we're going to focus on. But to come out and say, when there's all this inflation, when prices are high, when people are more divided than ever, that you wouldn't have done anything different. When I think just a couple weeks ago, there was a major hurricane, And many people are saying that the money from FEMA is running out and that those people aren't getting the aid that they need. American citizens, they're not getting the aid they need. But then people are seeing that migrants are getting all this money, that Ukraine is getting all this money, right? They have questions. Now I know there are going to be some people that say, well, here are the numbers and here's this and here's that. Look, people are really worried. And so I think Kamala Harris did a great disservice by saying she wouldn't change anything. And this is what, in particular, the black community is looking at. We're looking at these things because it'd be different if the economy was better and we were being told that everything was good. But the economy isn't doing better, right? Just 3-4 years ago, you could get a decent house around $200,000, $250,000 in Texas, for example. Now, you need a lot more than that. And when people see those things, they get upset and they get frustrated, right? And so I don't think there's a lot of people, particularly in the black community, that like what's going on right now. Thank you for joining. If you are watching, hit that like button, subscribe, comment, join in on the discussion. So right now what we're talking about is the black community feeling like political orphans because we know we don't like what we're seeing, but we're being told everything is okay. Everything is okay. That's what we're being told. Everything is okay. And my question is, if Kamala Harris truly believes that everything is okay and she wouldn't do anything for different than Joe Biden, what is making us believe that we're going to get anything better or different if she's elected? Right? Because here's the thing. As a leader, if you're a leader, I think that there's a way for you to communicate your vision without tearing someone else down. That's leadership. A leader can come in and make you feel like, hey, things are going to get better. We're going to change things without tearing other people down or without throwing Joe Biden under the bus or even talking down about Trump. She can come in and say, here's my vision, here's what I want to do, here's my focus, here's my plan. And, me talking about what they did and, all this other stuff, I'll let you decide what's different. Here's what's different, what I'm going to do. Here's why I think it's going to work. And leave it at that. You don't have to tear people down. That's the angle that I think Kamala Harris should have taken. But I think that they're so deep into it, many of these politicians. They're so deep into the idea that the public is just not in the know, or they can continue playing these old games, that they don't really think about what it is they're saying or how they're coming off. It's wild. And so, as the black community, I think we have to position ourselves, not only for this election, but for the next election, to really ask critical questions. Really ask critical questions, because I think that, for the most part, Kamala Harris has not been held to the fire by the black community when it comes to us getting some answers about how she's going to help us improve black people's lives, improve opportunity, improve conditions. She really hasn't been held to the fire. It's all been about how, well, we need to make sure Trump isn't in office, and we need to make sure that democracy is saved. And we're going to get into that a little later. And you probably know what I'm talking about if you've been keeping up with everything when it comes to democracy. But yeah, I'm interested to hear what y'all have to say. So if you have any comments on anything I've said, put in the comment, ask questions, and I'll stop and answer those questions. I'm going to move forward. The next thing that I want to talk about is why I think at the root the black community is, someone said Trump 2024. It's interesting because I see a lot more people, and thank you for the comment, Josh B. I see a lot more black people in particular open to the idea of voting for Trump. I don't know if y'all saw, there's like a CNN interview where they went around asking kids, Kamala or Trump, and a lot of black kids and a lot of kids in general were just saying Trump. And I didn't see that in 2016, 2020, 2020. So I think a lot more people are open to voting for Trump. I think that he's gaining traction in ways that the Democrat Party did not foresee. I think that they thought they could use the same playbook. Like, I know Kamala Harris says, we're tired of the same old playbook of you being divisive. I actually think the Democrat Party is using the same playbook by trying to get people to see Trump as this evil person. And a lot of people are like, hey, I don't give a damn if the man was a cat at this point. Are his policies going to be better? Are his policies going to be better? And I think they have inadvertently pushed people to looking at policies and looking at things beyond what the media spin is. See, in 2016 and 2020, they had more power on the media spin. They still have power, don't get me wrong. But I think they're trying to use the same playbook and it's not working. They keep bringing up the January 6th thing. They keep bringing up the Charlottesville thing. They keep bringing up all these things, and people are at the point to where they're like, okay, even if those things are true, right? Because now you want to focus the conversation on us being the FBI or something and trying to figure out the details of these things. Even if those things are true, how is me talking about January 6th going to put more money in my pocket? How is me talking about Charlottesville and some protest going to help me buy a home? People are tired of talking about those things. They were interested. Oh, there go the hat. Hey, y'all cut that out, okay? Yeah, people want to talk about the things that are actually going to put more money in their pocket, going to improve the quality of their life. Josh B says the media is corrupt. Absolutely, absolutely. The media is corrupt. And here's the interesting thing. I watched the interview with Dave Ramsey and Trump. That same interview, I don't think that same interview could have happened in 2016, 2020, just because of the pushback that would have happened. But now we're seeing more independent media outlets interviewing political candidates, and we're able to see the difference in a 45-minute conversation, a 2-hour conversation versus the debates. The debates are just horrible. The debates, they're like, when they start fact checking and they start doing this little bias thing, it really opens the door into who they have a preference for, what's going on, and just what the spin is. And I think we're moving towards a direction where these media outlets are going to have to change their business model, and they're going to have to change the way that they disseminate information to the general public, because it's not working as well as it used to work. But moving on to another major point that I want to talk about, which is that, particularly for the Black community, we've been told that racism is our main problem. That's what's holding us back. That's what we've been told as the Black community. That's all we need to focus on, right? And now we see we're in a situation where racism has been put on the back burner, and it's not a major political issue that either candidate or either party is really focusing on, for that matter. And so what do we do now? Because everything we've been told to focus on is not a priority. It's not even in the conversation. I'm surprised there hasn't been any BLM protests. I was expecting at least one major one or two. There hasn't been any major ones, at least not like what we were seeing in 2020, and for sure 2016. There haven't been any major BLM riots, protests. I haven't seen any Targets getting shoplifted, and I'm wondering why. Well, I know why, and I'm going to share why. But it's interesting because those riots and those protests were used to prop up the idea that America is racist, and used to prop up the idea that black people were being hunted, black people were being persecuted, and that black people had no place in this society. That's what they were being used for in 2020. Exactly. Josh B., you hit the nail on the head right there. BLM is corrupt. There's been a lot more information coming out, financial information, not just random people talking crap, financials showing how corrupt BLM has been with this money. And they don't want to be associated with BLM. The Democrat Party does not want to be associated with BLM because of the corruption that's come out. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting that in the 2020 election, BLM was at the center of these political debates about race and racism and black people in this country, and now they're nowhere to be seen. They're nowhere to be heard. There's no streets being painted BLM. There's no riots. There's no protests. There's no Kyle Rittenhouse trials. There's nothing, right? There's nothing. The BLM just disappeared. They just disappeared. Really, they didn't disappear. What happened was the Democrat Party wanted to separate themselves from BLM because of the corruption, and they turned their back on them. Even though BLM helped hand them the election last year, or the last election, they turned their back on them. And I point that out to say, this is a reason why black people don't really feel like they have a place in this election, in my opinion. Because we have everything we've been told to run on and focus on is not a priority. Really, what I think black people need to focus on right now is the economy. I think black people need to focus on not this election, but the next election. And here's what I mean by that. We need to focus on organizing, and we need to focus on getting off of issues of racism and do things and focus on issues that can actually be resolved. Because as we see, it's no longer tied to racism. When's the last time you've heard anything from any major political candidate in this race, Trump or Kamala, about race, racism, anything like that? It's not spoken about. Josh B. says, the economy is the most important to me. Exactly. So, and it is to me as well. So imagine if the black community focused on learning more about the economy, focused on GDP, focused on how do we get more jobs that are high paying? How do we do these things? And then we came to the conversation in these local elections, and we came with the conversation in the next presidential election on jobs, on actual tangible things. Because I'm lost right now, because I really expected there to be more race baiting during this election. I really expected there to be more protests, more riots, not more police shootings, but more coverage of police shootings, because that's what they do. I really expected that. It didn't happen. And it didn't happen not just because of Black Lives Matter, not because of that, but because they needed to prop up Kamala Harris, and they understand that the black community does not have an affinity for Kamala Harris in the way they thought that we would. They thought that because Kamala Harris is presenting herself as black, that the black community, that would be enough, right? That would be enough for us to just vote for her. And they thought, well, we don't need to talk about race because we're giving them Kamala Harris, and that will be enough for them. So there's still time for them to start talking about race and doing these things to drum up the black vote, and I think it's still going to happen. But I think that the Democrat Party felt like we can get the black vote just by putting Kamala Harris in that presidential seat, right? Just by making her the candidate. So we don't need to bring out the protest. We don't need to talk about racism and talk about the black community in particular. Let's just give them Kamala Harris. But then what they found out was the internet is undefeated. And people, in particular black people, were going online saying, is Kamala Harris even black? She's Indian. This is what people were going on there saying. And I think a lot of the digging was unexpected by the Democrat Party, and they didn't expect people to dig into Kamala Harris's background to find out that she may not be black. I don't know if she is or not. From what I'm hearing, from what I'm reading, there's a good chance that she's not. She's just someone who appears to be. Someone made a good point. They said, well, her father is Jamaican, but Jamaicans, all Jamaicans are not African. All Jamaicans are not black. There are Chinese Jamaicans. There are white Jamaicans. So just because you're Jamaican does not make you black. And so with that being said, they're saying that her father was a Jamaican Indian. I don't know, but I do think that that was an unexpected hurdle, and I do think it was something that maybe pushed some black people away from Kamala Harris. Josh B says she's not black. See, did the Democrat Party, when they put Kamala Harris into that presidential seat, and we're going to talk about that, when they put her in that presidential seat, did they believe that black people and other people would question her blackness? I don't think so. And if they did, I think they would have used more BLM riots, or at least brought up racism and tried to drum up the emotions that they usually drum up when it's election time. They would have tried to drum that up within the black community. Looks like we got a little more people in here. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Drop some comments if you have any questions. We're talking about the black community being political orphans. Do we have an actual place in this election? Do black people have a place in this election? I know they're saying that without the black vote, whoever has the black vote's gonna win the race. This is what they keep saying. I'm seeing more black people saying they're gonna vote for Trump. It's more acceptable now. And I also want to talk about Kamala Harris was not voted in by black people. She was not voted in by white people. She was not voted in by anyone other than the delegates. No one went to a ballot and voted for Kamala Harris. This is a problem. Whether you like that she's in that position or not, whether you like that she's the presidential candidate or not, you have to admit on some level that it's problematic. Whether you like that she's in there or not, you at least have to be humble enough to admit it is problematic when a presidential candidate was not elected to be the presidential candidate. That's problematic. And not because the actual elected presidential candidate died, no, but because he snapped his fingers and said, I want her. She's now the presidential candidate. She is now the presidential candidate. And I think for black people in particular, this should be a problem for concern, especially the black people that sit around and talk about voter rights. Voter rights, oh, well, we need IDs to vote, and voter rights, they're trying to suppress our votes. What is more suppressing to black voters out of these two options? You need an ID to vote, or even if you go vote, they can swap out a candidate that nobody voted for and just hope that we like them. What's more voter suppression? Voter ID laws, or swapping out a candidate and swapping them out for someone that nobody voted for? Josh B says, no, they just knew that the majority of black people are asinine enough to vote for her just because she's black adjacent. Exactly. And like I said earlier, that's probably going to be enough, because I'm seeing black people online criticize me and get upset with me because I'm asking questions, right? Because I'm asking questions, because I'm saying, hey, look, I don't care if she's black or not. I don't care if she's a woman or not. I don't think it's right that she was just swapped in for someone else. Like, let's say that I was the biggest Joe Biden fan in the world, and I really wanted Joe Biden in office, which I don't. And they just swap him out. I don't care if they put Santa Claus in there and say, I love Santa. Get out. No, I didn't vote for you. Like, I don't see how so many people are okay with someone that they did not vote for being the presidential candidate. I'll give you an example, right? I've had to take multiple exams for industries that I've been in, real estate, insurance industry. I've had to take multiple exams to get licensed. And when I go take those exams, I have to bring my ID. And usually, I think another form of identification outside of my ID. I have to bring those so that they know I am who I say I am, that the right person is taking the exam. So let's say that I walked in there and I showed them my ID, right? I showed them my ID, I went and sat down. And when I went and sat down, real quick, I did like the instant transmission, like Goku does on Dragon Ball Z, and just went somewhere else and then switched with somebody else, and that person took the test. And then before it was over, I switched back. And they think that I'm the one that took the test. That's who was supposed to be taking the test. That's who's supposed to be credentialed. And I pass. Well, I didn't take the test, somebody else did. But I get the credit for it. This is what happened. Somebody else did the hard work of campaigning, going out and asking the American people to vote for them, and then someone else got the credit. Kamala Harris got a participation trophy. So anyone who's not okay with participation trophies should not be excited that Kamala Harris is in office, whether you like her or not. Let's be real about it. Let's be fair. I don't care if it was whoever. That's not right. And I think that's a bigger threat to democracy than anything Donald Trump has said. And that's not me saying, oh, go vote for Trump. That's just me saying what's right is right. What's fair is fair. Josh B said, I didn't vote for Trump or for Biden. Yeah, I think after that first debate, Biden was toast. He was toast. But I want to get y'all's opinion. So if anyone has anything else to say, any questions, any input, let me know what you think in the comment section. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. I have funny skits, political debate. Going to be doing more politics as we get closer to the election. Just didn't want to overwhelm y'all and get too redundant with these conversations. But drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Is the black community political orphans right now? Are we political orphans? What is our role in this election? What is our role in this election? Let me know in the comment section. Are we political orphans? Are we political orphans? Because I don't know what we're supposed to do here, right? A lot of us have been told never to vote for Republicans. A lot of us have been told Republicans are racist and we shouldn't trust them and they don't have our best interest at heart. But what do we do when we go online and we watch interviews where Kamala Harris is saying she wouldn't change anything over the last 4 years that Joe Biden has done? What do we do when she's put in office and no one voted for her? Or she's made the presidential candidate and no one's voted for her? What do we do? How do we reconcile that? I'm interested because I'm trying to figure it out myself. How do we reconcile that? Let me know in the comments. How do we reconcile that? Because we have, someone said, IDK, I'm not American. Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyone that is American or just has an opinion on it, let me know in the comment section and we'll talk about it a little more. If not, we'll discuss it later in another live. So I'm gonna say, hopefully, Josh B, hopefully our role is to get more of us to get out of the Democrat plantation. I'd have to agree. I'd have to agree. And here's the reason why. When I make posts online, even criticizing or just asking questions about the Democrat Party or Democrats or what we're supposed to do in these situations, people start talking down on me. They start saying I'm a traitor. I really do believe that in the next 10 years, there's going to be a shift within the black community, and more of us are going to look at alternatives other than just voting Democrat and being told anything else is being a traitor to the race, you're not actually black, all of these things. I really believe that. Because I just don't see how you can have a presidential candidate who was not elected to be the presidential candidate just be swapped out a couple months before election time in one of the worst economies we've seen. And on top of that, here's something I haven't even spoken about. I believe they knew, Kamala Harris and those around Joe Biden, Obama, and the people within the higher echelons of the Democrat Party, I believe they knew Joe Biden's health condition and still said nothing and have not said anything to this day. I believe they knew about it and they didn't care. And I believe that they wanted to get Joe Biden across the finish line, and then whatever happened to him, and then Kamala Harris took over. I believe that they wanted Kamala Harris to be the president either way. I just think that the other way, they wanted Joe Biden to win and then Kamala to step in. And this way, I think that they just want Kamala to win now. But here's what's troubling about that. We still have not gotten a clear, articulable reason why Joe Biden stepped down. We still don't know why. We keep hearing that it's about him putting country above self. It's about him doing what's best for the American people. This heroic tale, right? Why don't you tell us the truth? Tell us the truth, man. Why did you step down? Why? Because I don't want to hear the story of, well, the higher ups in the Democrat Party just felt like Joe Biden wouldn't be a good candidate. Well, you felt like that before the debate. If Joe Biden would have won that debate, Kamala Harris would not be the presidential candidate. All this talk about, like, all of a sudden, all these high ranked that Biden loses, now they feel like Joe Biden can't be president. It's ridiculous. And that's another thing. You haven't come out and given the American people the truth, but you want us to trust you and what you say you're going to do once you're elected. You can't even be true about why I get it. You don't want Joe Biden to be the candidate anymore. But don't lie to us. Don't just tell us that it's because he's some hero and he just wants Kamala in there now. This was strategic. And I believe they purposefully waited to switch him out so close to the election so that people would be in panic mode and not have enough time to come up with a more fair solution on how to get another candidate to represent Democrats. Right? As a Democrat, I'm not saying I'm a Democrat, I'm saying if you are a Democrat, you should be upset. I'm upset for you if you're a Democrat and you went through this. Like, that's like me going to see me paying to go see a Kevin Hart stand-up show, and I get there, and it's Mike Epps. Oh, well, we just felt like Kevin Hart wouldn't have performed as well, so here's Mike Epps. Nah, give me my refund. But I guess you can't get a refund on your vote, right? You can't refund your vote. I'm just wondering how it's gonna blow over. Like, even if Kamala wins, how do you feel proud about that as an American citizen, knowing that no one voted her in? How? I just want to know. If you are just jumping into the stream, make sure you hit that like button. Drop a comment if you want to have a discussion about anything I'm talking about or anything else. We talk politics, do social commentary. Just let me know what's on your mind. Appreciate you, Josh B. We got some other people that have commented as well. Appreciate you. Anything else? If not, I'm gonna get off and enjoy the rest of my walk out here at the park. Getting it in. It's in the 70s. Someone said, be upset for yourself. I dislike Trump. That's fine, right? And it's fine if you dislike Trump. My question is, how do you dislike Trump more than you dislike the fact that there is a presidential candidate that was not voted in by anyone outside the delegates? Like, what? I don't see how Trump has said anything to where someone would dislike him more than they dislike a candidate being swapped out at the last moment for a presidential election. I don't even like when they switch servers when I go to a restaurant. Like, if you the server that took my order and stuff, you need to be the server that come in and handle my situation all the way through until I leave. I don't even like that. So I don't see how someone's dislike for Trump is greater than their dislike for what I would consider an upheaval of democracy. What has he done that bad to where you're willing to turn a blind eye to someone being elected, but I don't even want to say elected, being placed in the position of a presidential candidate, like the highest office of the land, and you're in that situation, you're in that seat because you get a participation trophy for being Joe Biden's VP. Make it make sense. Make it make sense, because it's all right to do that as long as, oh, we like Kamala Harris now, which nobody did before this happened. But it's all right to do that now. But where does it end? Right? Where does it end? Like, I like to think about the future. And I sit back and I think, okay, in the future, what is stopping either political party from just putting a likable face in the primaries and then swapping them out when it comes closer to election time? What's stopping them from doing that? Like, this is dangerous. We've allowed Pandora's box to be opened, and the more people support it, the more likely it is that it's going to be used as a strategy moving forward. It's going to be, because here's the thing. Kamala Harris would not have won against other Democrats. She tried and it didn't happen in 2020. And they felt like, you know, she wouldn't. This is why they wouldn't even let RFK Jr. debate Biden. This is why they did everything in their power to stop anyone from being able to rival Joe Biden. It's because they understood if Joe Biden actually had to go neck and neck with other candidates, he likely would have lost. Someone said, I don't have a problem with this. Trump is a felon, and most felons cannot even vote. Why should one run for president? Well, because there's no law that says a felon can't run for president. But there are laws that say you can't vote if you're a felon. So what you're talking about is something that you wish would be true. You wish that felons could not run for president. But you could be a felon and you could own a multi-million-dollar business. But if you went and applied for that same business, if you weren't the CEO and started the business, you probably couldn't get a job there. Does that mean that we shouldn't allow felons to be CEOs of companies? Because if they were to try to apply for that same company, they probably wouldn't get the job? I don't think so. That's not in our Constitution. So to say, well, he's a felon and some felons can't vote, so therefore he shouldn't be president. Okay, well, what happens if he never got those felons or those felonies? Does that change anything for you? Is it just the fact that he's a felon? When people are sitting at home struggling to pay their bills and the economy is in chaos, do people really care about that? I don't think so. And we also understand, I think most people understand, that many of these cases were brought up as political weapons so that things like this could be used against him. And this is not me defending Trump. This is just me thinking critically, not trusting the government and saying they don't care about Trump and what he did. If he wasn't running for office, these wouldn't even be a thing. And I don't think many people care that he's a felon because they understand why he's a felon. They understand that this was just used as a political weapon. So why should one run for president? Yeah. So, I mean, I hope that answers your question. I appreciate the comment. But yeah, it's not the law. You can run for president and be a felon. It's not against the law. That's why they did it. That's why the Democrat Party made him a felon, is so that they can say that. Hope that answers your question. Any other comments? Any other commentary? What do y'all think? Should Trump not be allowed to run for president because he's a felon and there are people that can't vote and they're felons? Because that seems like something that really is irrelevant because it's not the law. If it was the law and he was trying to get around it, okay, but it's not the law right now. And another thing is, I think he already did those things. I think the things that he's convicted of, he did before he was president before. So, and I could be wrong, fact check me if I am, but some of those things date back years and years. So if he was able to be president before and have a great economy and stuff, and still have done those things technically, because that's what makes you the felon, is by doing the crime, and logically he should be able to do it again even if he has the label of being a felon. And it's interesting though that, you know, a lot of Democrats are on the side of like, well, if someone has a criminal record, you should still be able to go out and get a good job, or, you know, the criminal justice system is rigged and it's messed up. But when it's persecuting somebody that you don't like, now we should abide by it. Now it's a good thing. I find that interesting. What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts? We got about 20 people in the stream. Make sure you hit that like button. Please show support for the channel. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate y'all participating and watching. out here. It's about 70, 75, 76 degrees. Not too bad. Appreciate y'all watching. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think about the conversation. Do y'all believe that black people got tricked, got duped with Kamala Harris? What do y'all think? Let me know in the comment section. While y'all are typing, I'll finish with this, and then I'll answer any questions, and I'll end the live. I think we have to be more cautious as a community. I think that we really have to position ourselves to be taken seriously. I think that they did more than walk over the black vote this time. They stomped on it, and we're still going for it. Because they put a bunch of narratives out there. Trump's a felon, right? This, that, threat to democracy, all these things to take us off of the real issues, which is that there's someone who is presidential candidate that no one elected. They have no plan for black people. They have not articulated a plan in general that is going to be good for people. And they are openly saying that they would not do anything differently than what's currently being done. And we're eating it up. We're eating it up. Now, that's not me saying go vote for Trump. That's me saying we need to seriously take a step back and reevaluate how we look at issues and reevaluate how we choose political candidates as a community. It looks like no one has anything else to say, so I'm going to end the stream. If so, put it in the comments, but appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see you next time. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and see y'all next time.